Hello. Welcome to my channel. My name is Lynn, and this is a first look at the We Are Makers So Easy kit. And I was this was a total impulse buy. I was at the Crafty Meraki Scrapbooker Social, and I saw Anessa do her scrapbooking layout where she did some stitching, but what was cool was that she only did like, a few cross stitches on the edges of, I think it was the mat of her photo and the background. So just like a few cross stitches here, a few cross stitches there as a bit of an accent. And I thought that's so cool. And she didn't use this tool. She just used a pokey tool, and just kind of poked the holes that she needed for stitching. And I just thought that was so cool. And I thought, I have always wanted to do some stitching on my cards. But my sewing machine, I mean, it's a nice sewing machine. I didn't pay like a ton of money, but it's also not like super entry level. So I've always been a little bit hesitant despite plenty of assurances that sewing through paper is just fine. I've always still been a little bit hesitant to do it myself. So I haven't gotten up the courage to do that. And in any case, my sewing machine is not super accessible at the moment. So I thought this would be a nice little compromise to being able to do a little bit of stitching. As you can see, I haven't opened this yet. So if you're not familiar with how I do reviews, what I do is what I call a first look video, where I am experiencing the product for the first time. I do this whether it's something that I purchased with my own money or I've been given it for free to review. And I am going to try not to destroy the packaging here, but after I kind of do this first look, I will post a second more in-depth review after I've had a chance to give it some fair time to use it and really develop an opinion. And so that is what's going to happen with this one as well. So I've got everything taken out that comes in the kit. There's actually no instructions. There's no booklet, which maybe we don't need one because it's gonna be that obvious. But I have to say I have actually seen videos of this, because after the impulse buy, because this was like 33% off on scrapbook.com. It was originally priced as $30. I think I got it for $20. And I thought it was really nice for what you get. It seems pretty cool. And then afterwards, I did some Googling, or really more YouTube searking, and I found that I was looking for videos on this, and I found very few, but most of them actually were from 13 plus years ago, which is a testament to how long this has been around. It's just been around in different kind of different ways, because what this is you have your handle, and here you have a piercing tool which rotates. So the idea is you can just roll this across your paper, whatever it is you want to stitch, and it's going to pierce these holes according to this pattern. This right here is interchangeable, and you kind of just twist it out, it seems. And so there we go. So you can get different patterns, stitching different patterns. So here's a zigzag. This one that was initially in there is just a straight stitch. Then we have this, which is kind of like little flowers, little snowflakes. That's kind of a nice design. Here's your crisscross pattern. And then the last one is, I forget, what is this stitch? I can't remember the name of it. But it's the one that is, gives you kind of that border. So there's that. And what's really cool is that because these are interchangeable, you just have a lot of different options for the stitching pattern that you can create with this. So I thought that was really neat. And what I found in my research is that like 12, 13 years ago, I guess was when maybe they first released it. And there was one set of, I think probably 5 or so. And then 3 or 4 years ago, there were a lot of videos, and I think it released again, but with some different stitching heads. And so at the moment, this is the combination that you get. You have a straight stitch, which probably all of them have. You've got the zigzag, the cross stitching, the little flower, and then this sort of border stitch, whatever it's called. So what I'm gonna do is, and then it comes with the this mat, which is pretty nice thick foam. Lovely color here, nice blue. You've got some embroidery floss, really nice teal, blue, a pink, a coral, and a yellow. And then you have a stitching needle, which this back here is a handy little storage. So you can toss in a few needles in there if you want, just to if you need different sizes. So that's kind of nice handy storage. That's a nice bit of storage, but the rest of this is how it comes. There's no actual storage that comes with it. I think in previous incarnations of when they've released this, there have been different, like a whole case or something that you could get. So now what I'm gonna do is just give this a little go. This is copy paper. Not my super thin stuff, but just some regular copy paper. So this should pierce just fine. I'm just gonna see how much pressure, because this is just plastic. This isn't metal or anything. It's just plastic, but it is sharp. Okay, yeah, you don't need much pressure. The holes pierce just fine. You might be able to tell that I was kind of putting a little bit more pressure on the towards the left side, so let me try to even out my pressure. Really get straight up and down pressure. And so that's the size hole that you get. Nice even spacing. That was pretty easy to pierce through. So that's just copy paper. Let's upgrade to let's see. This is I think this is going to be 65-pound paper, and we'll do the same just so that we can get apples to apples. So okay. Not quite as easy to punch through this. A little bit hard to see too on camera, but I mean the holes are there. Let's see if it's actually, it seems like the holes are pretty small. Yeah, see, the holes are small for what the needle will go through. So let me see if I just need to maybe push a little bit harder and try to get bigger holes. Okay. I mean, these holes are not big. Like this needle that came with it won't even go through until I really see. That's the one that I forced it through. which you can see that it's visible only after I've actually pushed it all the way through. So that's something. I mean, if you didn't want to actually stitch, this could be like a kind of nifty little accent, even without the stitching, just to put the holes. So this is just some pattern paper now. Like, this is not too shabby pattern paper. So I don't know what the paper weight would be. Now I'm putting kind of firm pressure. You can kind of see I'm leaving indentations in the foam mat here. And I mean, the holes are pierced, but they're more of a starting point as opposed to large enough to really pass your needle through and just have it just drop straight through. So there's that. So that is about 65, and then whatever pattern paper this is. Let's say this is 100. This is 120 pound. So let's see how easy or hard it is to pierce through 120 pound. All right, so I had to push pretty hard, and it's not fully through, but it started the holes enough that I can definitely see where the hole is, and if I were stitching, I could finish poking through the rest of the way. So that is the zigzag, and then let's do the cross stitch. So you just kind of put it in a bit of an angle, and then turn it, and then now let's do this on to this. Okay. Now this is kind of hard to see. Probably, I think the easiest one to see was copy paper. Okay, so there's that pattern. That's our cross stitch. Which there is a middle hole there, but I think you could, if you were cross stitching, you could just go, from here to there and skip that middle hole. But that's what that is. And let's just do all of the patterns just to have a little look at them. Oh, that's cute. That was the flower. This is the... Oh, see, this is interesting. I'll show you in a moment. Okay, so... Alright, so here's what we have. We have... This top row is just your straight stitch. And that's the straight stitch one. Then the second one below that is this, which is sort of that flower. But it's kind of pierced just maybe a circle. And so that's pretty cute. What's interesting about this, so yeah, this is weird. I'm not sure why this doesn't have a center hole. So if you look at the stitch pattern on the wheel, it kind of looks like you have the everything goes out to the point and then into the center, right? Doesn't it look like everything goes into a center, like spokes of a wheel? But it actually doesn't poke a center hole. So I think that's a little bit strange. It's just a circle. So it's missing the hole in the middle. I mean, I'm not sure. Am I supposed to do another run of, let me see if I can do it. It feels not obvious. Yeah. So it feels like, I mean, this isn't gonna look the way that I would expect, but it seems like there should be a hole in the center. But you shouldn't have to run two lines through, because you're never gonna line it up perfectly. So this one, as cool as it is, I kind of feel like it's missing something. So I think that one's weird. This is the cross stitch, and the cross stitch, if you look at that, it does have a hole where the two lines cross over, but this is a case where I don't think you need that middle dot. I don't think you need a hole there, because you can stitch from here to here, and you can stitch from there to there, skipping that middle hole, and you can stitch from there to there and skip that middle hole, and you would have your cross stitch. So I don't know that you would, I mean, you might have to kind of zigzag down one way and then zigzag back, but I don't know, that just seems really, or crossover and then cross back, I don't know, however you want to, I'm not a pro at stitching, clearly, but I feel like that one, the middle hole isn't completely necessary, but it doesn't hurt that it's there. Then this one was the zigzag, so you've got that, and this one, though, interestingly enough, this one is the, and I know it's hard to see because there's not enough contrast for my camera to really kind of focus on this correctly, but this one, there's actually just two lines of holes, basically. That's this right here. So you could actually just do your cross stitching on this one, because this is what I thought that the cross stitch would look like, where I was saying it doesn't need that center hole. So this is basically what I was describing, and so you could cross stitch, or you could do the that border stitch that's shown here. So I would probably use this as the cross stitching pattern. So that's kind of cool. And then the straight stitch is really straightforward. And the bigger thing, though, is that, you know, if I'm gonna be stitching, most likely what will happen is I'll probably have like maybe some, you know, lightweight cardstock like this, maybe something that's 65 pound, and then maybe I'll have a bit of pattern paper on top of that, and then I'll want to stitch the two together. So how easy or hard would that be to do? And I'm going to use the one, I think cross stitching is probably the one I'll use the most, because that's what Anessa did in her scrapbooking class, and it looked really cute. So 2 layers of paper, 65 pound layer and pattern paper. Can we punch through both? And how much force do I need to use? All right, so you'd have to use a lot of force, because this indented, but it did not pierce through the second layer. So I because I think it would be hard to, if you were wanting to kind of sew something onto your card, you would, at least I would feel inclined to want to pierce holes through the two pieces that I want to sew at the same time. So let's get another bit of scrap and try it again. I have a bit of pattern paper here, my bit of scrap there, and I'm going to try to put more force. Alright, so I pushed down pretty hard, and on this, I mean, the top layer, that's perfectly fine. Again, pierced it, not super wide holes, but I can get my needle through pretty easily. Now let's see on the second layer. It didn't quite go through all the way, but I could get my needle through. So if I happen to line this up, let's line these up. And let's say I've got it kind of lined up here. Let's say I was sewing. It would be kind of hard actually to get you know, I wouldn't want to sew an entire border. Yeah, so some of these holes, they're not pierced through all the way. So it is kind of hard to actually sew two things together. Like if you wanted to sew have like a little bit of a sewing accent, and you want to sew two pieces together, I think that would be kind of hard to do. If you wanted to do something like this, so what Anessa did in her class was something like this. She put the stitching detail kind of like that, where it was going across a border. So if you did something like that, it's going to be much more manageable because you're only piercing through, you know, one layer on this side and then one layer on the pattern paper. But this thing, it doesn't really want to pierce through two layers of paper. I could probably stand up and maybe, you know, get it to poke through, but let's try that. But then, I mean, I don't know if you can see the the dents. I mean, I've already put a lot of dents in that. But let's see. I'm gonna stand up and I'm gonna try to put some weight into it. So not just like muscle, but some actual lean into it. Alright, so that's this line here. Okay, this went through a little bit better. So let's line these up. Yep. Okay, so it's not too bad actually. You just have to put some weight into it, and you'll be able to pierce through both two layers at a time. Oh, this one doesn't want to go through, so this must not have pierced through. But you'd have to really lean into it. Gotta really put some weight into it. And so I think this will be fun. I mean, it's just like a little bit of a novelty tool. Again, like I said, it's a bit of an impulse buy for sure. And if you're gonna do a lot of stitching, using your sewing machine is probably the way to go. But I see so much lovely stitching detail on cards that well, actually Delise just posted one today which looked awesome. I know T, Not Afraid of Color, she's done lots of cards with some stitching detail, so really very, very inspired by them. And so I think this will be a fun little toy. And I wish there was something to kind of really keep all of this together, like a little case or something, but look forward to me just trying this out in some of my future card making. The embroidery floss looks very nice. It's got a nice lovely shine to it, and it looks to be pretty nice quality, kind of, you know, your nice DMC thread that's, I'm guessing, like 6 strands twisted. So really lovely colors too. They match the wheels, so everything's just very, very nice. Of course, everything We Are Memory Keepers, I feel like, is pretty good. I mean, everything is plastic though, so you know that's why this isn't the most expensive thing. I don't know if over time the plastic piercing tool, you know, if it's gonna dull. I'm sure it will over time and with use. So there's that. This is probably not something that's going to last forever and ever. Having a case would be nice so that you can kind of keep it and sort of protect those tips from getting dented or anything. So I might try to see if I can save some of this packaging just to keep it a little bit secure. But we'll see. I'll put it to use and oh, I don't know how long it'll take me, but you know, whenever I've had a chance to really use it some more, you know, do a little bit of stitching with each of the patterns, I will come back with a more in-depth review and let you know if it's something that, okay, the impulse is over. Am I still using it or not? So that is my first look at the We Are Makers So Easy kit, and thanks for checking this video out. I'll leave links to where you can pick this up if you are interested in getting a closer look at it. That'll be in the description box below. Thank you again, and until next time, happy crafting and have a fabulous day. Bye.